Oh man, I've worked in law enforcement for 27 years, and I had the opportunity to see HIDA. It's a place, whereas they have the state, the feds, the NYPD, the Department of Corrections, and the state police. Yo, this place could be half of a basketball court. That's where they just got lines of computers with officers of all different people and officers just on the internet. Whoever's over that case, whoever's working that case, don't you know they saw that and took it to their boss?
Everyone in that Los Angeles courtroom froze when the defense dropped a bombshell. Accusations that Christian Combs was inviting underage guests to those wild freak-offs. You could literally feel the air get sucked out of the room. Cameras clicked like crazy as Christian suddenly shoved his chair back, face pale as a ghost, and walked right out. No wave, no apology, nothing. He shot past his own legal team like they weren't even there and disappeared behind the doors.
Me and my dog, me and my son right here, firstborn.
Everyone wanted to be around.
His name is Bailey.
It exhausted him.
Look at him.
People just couldn't leave.
Who's your daddy?
Especially the girls. Christ.
No.
Girls.
It was straight out of a courtroom drama. But this wasn't a movie. That walkout hit right after one of the most disturbing claims yet. The idea that underage teens were showing up at those notorious yacht parties. This wasn't some stunt to avoid court. It screamed damage control. As soon as the attorney even hinted that kids might have been at those wild, booze-fueled performances, the whole vibe flipped. Suddenly, this wasn't about celebrity scandals or tabloid gossip.
Get him to call somebody. He like, it's too much work. Like, so happy birthday, Christian. Thank you everybody for coming and cheers.
Don't stop.
27. 27.
It got real dark, real fast. To back up the accusations, the defense dropped another shocker. Transcripts from actual audio recordings. These tapes, captured in a makeshift studio aboard one of those yachts, featured a young woman named Grace O'Marquet. And what she described? Straight up disturbing. She said things took a violent turn after she was offered tequila shots that she now believes were drugged.
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday.
We don't got no job.
We don't got no job.
And we don't got nothing to do.
And we don't got nothing to do. Cause we have to do that together.
Grace refused the advances, but the situation didn't end there. And that moment caught on tape, it could change everything. Grace took a job as a steward on a luxury yacht that Sean Diddy Combs chartered in late December 2022.
Battled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been accused of sexual assault. A lawsuit filed in LA Superior Court on Thursday accuses Christian King Combs of sexually assaulting and possibly drugging a woman in December 2022. The woman says it happened while she was working on a yacht that Diddy had chartered. This comes just over a week after homes owned by Diddy were raided in LA and Miami as part of a federal human trafficking investigation. Neither the attorneys for Combs or Diddy have commented on the new legal complaint.
She expected a standard gig, serving food and drinks on a family-style trip. But what she walked into was a totally different scene. Grace says the yacht turned into an all-night party zone, packed with non-stop music, a carousel of unfamiliar faces, and drinks so intense that people were passing out after just one sip.
Check this out, y'all. This is Diddy. This is my son, King Combs. I've been watching my pop since I was a kid. And I'm proud of you, boy.
She claims that Christian showed up clearly intoxicated, pressured her to take shots, and crossed major lines by touching her inappropriately. When she tried to leave the situation, she says he followed her to the yacht's movie room.
Excuse me, you don't touch my legs like that. I'll move my legs where I want to. If I want to do this, then I will. You don't touch my legs like that. Markey then says that she told Christian she couldn't stay with him unless it was approved by a supervisor, all of whom she knew would be asleep at the time, so this was a way for her to get out of the situation. She claims that Christian said, "Who can I talk to? I'm going to say I requested you right now." Well, Marky then says she responded with, quote, well, you can take your hand off my ass for the first thing.
Which also doubled as a sleeping area, blocked the entrance, and allegedly tried again to intimidate her before someone else finally stepped in and broke it up. According to her legal filing, the emotional damage left her spiraling. Grace described dealing with intense anxiety, panic attacks, and deep emotional stress that even led to serious health concerns. She also included photos of bruising and submitted audio files as evidence in her lawsuit against both Combs men.
Well, it's significant because anytime that they have the opportunity to continue to remind the public of the malfeasance of Diddy, of Diddy's son, of anything related to sexually inappropriate behavior, sexual assault, it helps. It helps the government continue to, lay out the narrative of how bad Diddy was, how bad Diddy's son was. So I think it's consistent with, what they've been doing, putting it out there and really destroying his character. I'm not saying that he didn't do anything to deserve it. I'm saying it's consistent with what they're doing, whether it's the government or the lawyers that are suing him civilly.
Accusing them of harassment, misconduct, and creating an unsafe environment. In the courtroom, Grace's attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, went straight into the details. He read parts of the transcripts and told the jury about drinks allegedly laced with GHB and other dangerous substances. Then he dropped a major bomb. He claimed that more recordings existed, and he was ready to fight to make sure they were heard.
The lawsuit provides transcripts of audio recordings, and these audio recordings purportedly show, or you can hear, kissing sounds, her telling Combs not to touch her, her allegedly asking about whether she was drugged. Now, we haven't heard these tapes here on Law and Crime yet, but if they are what they purport to be, that is a huge piece of evidence. And remember, when we're talking a civil case, when we're talking lawsuits, the burden of proof is much lower than a criminal case. It's just preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not that this happened.
But what truly shocked the room? Blackburn said the Combs siblings had a track record of not just being present, but actively involved in these so-called freak-offs, and that some guests were allegedly underage. Aaron Dyer, Christian's attorney, fired back hard, calling Tyrone Blackburn's lawsuit lewd and meritless, and claiming he'd be filing to dismiss what he described as nothing but manufactured lies. But here's the thing. The court documents tell a different story. These claims aren't just floating around without backup. There's paperwork, audio files, and serious allegations stacking up.
I believe it was Justin, Diddy, and G walked into the bathroom. Gunshots rang out. Little Rod woke up so scared. Justin and Diddy left. Little Rod went in the bathroom, saw G out all over the place, literally called the ambulance, carried him out. It was carnage and everything, put him in the ambulance. The police showed up. Little Rod cited that in his lawsuit, and then they asked for the LAPD's report. The LAPD just released an 18-page report.
So what were these so-called freak-offs? Prosecutors say they weren't your average wild party. According to them, these were carefully staged and choreographed events, exclusive, invite-only gatherings that looked more like secret shows than private hangouts.
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise, and they actually named it in the indictment, the Combs Enterprise. And they said that this enterprise consisted of him as the alleged leader, his employees, assistants, staff, allegedly, that were able to procure women and alleged male sex workers to engage in performances for his own sexual gratification. Where it differs from a mob indictment, it has all the elements of putting together this racketeering allegation of all these moving pieces using resources from his businesses. But the fact that this is about an allegation of sexual gratification being accomplished by alleged human trafficking. It's one of the most unique indictments I've ever seen in this area, in the area of sex crime.
And the most disturbing part? Officials say some guests weren't even adults. The Manhattan indictment goes deeper, describing these events as fully planned productions. Everything was coordinated. from the guests to the setup. And prosecutors claim some people were pressured into participating under the influence of strong substances. The lawsuit doesn't just name Diddy, it also brings in his kids, saying they didn't just watch from the sidelines. They allegedly helped organize, handed out money, set up the spaces, and even recorded what happened during these events. This all adds serious weight to Christian's ongoing legal trouble. On September 16, 2024, Diddy was officially indicted by a Manhattan grand jury on multiple charges, including racketeering and trafficking.
So Diddy just walked into the courtroom like he normally does. He hugged all of his attorneys. He, dabbed up Mark Agnifilo. I think he was kind of searching in the gallery to see if he had family there, because when court had first started, nobody was there from his family. And I think he kind of looks forward, and I'm just speculating here, obviously I'm not in his mind, but I think he looks for people, especially his mom, to be inside that courtroom in the gallery. But today it was just Justin Combs all by himself. I think in the moment when he had first walked into the courtroom, it was a little bit after it had started. He kind of was like clearing his throat. I don't know if it was because he actually had to clear his throat or if it was to get his father's attention, just to let him know that he is here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but Diddy did turn around a couple of times. I don't know if it was to see if more of his family came in or to see, just to kind of like check in with Justin during that. But he seems to always kind of be more excited to see his family inside that.
Prosecutors accuse him of manipulating women, including some very young individuals, by using paid male performers, influence, and substances to keep things under control, and claim it was all captured on camera. Diddy's empire wasn't just built on music and business. It's now tied to a storm of serious charges that include bribery, arson, and kidnapping. But what's really shaking everything up are the claims tied to those controversial parties that prosecutors say involved inappropriate conduct and exploitation behind closed doors. In March 2025, things took a dramatic turn. Homeland Security agents raided Diddy's homes in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York all at once. They didn't hold back, grabbing electronics, documents, party materials, and even weapons.
There's a whole public relations side of this. Diddy is going to want to put up a front of an innocent person. And sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Right now, investigators are going through the evidence that they seized. What they're really looking for are videos of the alleged sexual abuse. If prosecutors have that information, we're talking about days or weeks before Diddy is charged. He may go to prison for the rest of his life.
Agents also picked up large amounts of items tied to party setups, raising even more eyebrows. Christian was briefly detained during the raid at his father's LA mansion while the Miami location was being searched. He was handcuffed, questioned, and then released without any charges. Still, those images of him in cuffs hit the media like a shockwave. Diddy's legal team blasted the whole operation, calling it a setup and promising to fight what they described as false and exaggerated claims. But no matter how hard they pushed back, the damage was already done. The headlines were brutal. Diddy facing federal charges, Christian tangled in a messy civil lawsuit full of disturbing claims.
I'm not surprised she posted it. She has to, they have to control the narrative, and do their best to control the narrative. And frankly, that's her right. If she has that data, that to do what she wants. I don't think it helped the situation. I don't think it helped her son or or Sean Diddy. I think it may have you still have human beings you're dealing with on both sides of the table, and basically kind of amping this up. I don't think that solves anything for anybody. Also, it's a matter of, is the public going to be sympathetic to a billionaire and his problems and his issues? This isn't something that happened, in an unfortunate instance in a lower socioeconomic area of Los Angeles or New York or Cleveland. This is in Hollywood with a $50 million mansion with luxury cars out front, and dealing with a billionaire. And then they had another one in Miami. I don't think the American people or the public are like having a whole lot of sympathy for anybody right now.
Christian had been hustling to carve his own lane. His 2022 single, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, climbed the R&B charts, and he even launched his own luxury sneaker brand, Younger Luxury. He was chasing big goals, but now Every article links his name to scandal, and his future suddenly looks a lot more complicated. Social media lit up the moment Christian's name hit the headlines. His comment sections exploded. Some fans rushed to defend him, others weren't so forgiving. A few straight up demanded he speak on camera and clear the air, but Christian kept quiet, sticking strictly to the statements from his legal team. Still, when you walk out of court and don't say a word, the silence can speak louder than any post. Now, the next major step in Christian's civil case is a motion to dismiss. His attorney, Aaron Dyer, is pushing hard, claiming Grace's lawsuit doesn't have solid ground. He argues the audio files she submitted lack metadata. There's no official proof that underage guests were present and no concrete evidence that the drinks were tampered with. If the judge agrees with Dyer, this case might be shut down before it even gets a full hearing.
Was upgraded from my last whore. On Risha, Keisha, and Joy. And I ain't tripping if you dip it and Joy.
Shut and Murray.
I would lock 23 and 1. And 1. Now I bought like 23 and 1.
But if Tyrone Blackburn convinces the court there's enough evidence to move forward, things could get intense. That would open the door to discovery, where both sides would be forced to turn over emails, guest lists, yacht schedules, and even call witnesses to testify under oath. It could stretch on for years, and that dramatic moment when Christian walked out of court, it'll keep getting replayed in headlines and public debates. Meanwhile, the federal case against Diddy is racing toward trial.
Check that shit and all that.
Right now he getting practice shots.
You know what I'm saying?
He getting practice shots because we got the legend in the building.
Yeah, you already know what it is, man.
Christian Combs, King, the one and only.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get right into it though. Music, that's good.
Yeah, I got my new music, Legacy, dropping. It's about to be crazy.
When is dropping? Let us know some exclusive
on the 15th, October 15th. Right. When you see this, you know it might be out.
Nah, you gonna see it tomorrow. He working hard. This dropping tomorrow.
And Cardi's dropping soon. It's gonna be a visual.
Yeah, but I keep it real. Ever since we've been in LA like 4 years, we've been running to you, like hearing that, see you grow, like from developing like artists to like just being cool. At first we met you, was like we just knew you was cool. Then you start dropping music. Like
Set for May 5th, 2025 in Manhattan, jury selection is just around the corner. Prosecutors say they've got at least 5 accusers lined up, including Cassie Ventura, who previously settled her case in 2023. All eyes are locked on what comes next. Prosecutors are planning to bring in what's known as propensity witnesses.
Abnormality daily and consistent content. Let's get straight into this video. If Christian Combs isn't working with Diddy on the side when it comes to violating BOP rules and contacting the Sons, if Christian Combs isn't working with Kanye West, who's doing all of these crash outs and going to his house, accepting gifts from Kanye, if Christian Combs not trying to jump Ray J or, trying to put up these happy birthday messages and dead reality TV shows, this man is also now officially being served for significant allegations of SA on a yacht that he was on.
People ready to testify about past events at these so-called freak-offs and other alleged misconduct to paint a bigger picture of Diddy's behavior over time. And while Christian's legal drama in LA might not be the main event in New York, it definitely adds fuel to the narrative that this wasn't just one man acting alone. It was a legacy of abuse wrapped in fame and power. For Grace, this fight is about way more than just money. She's chasing recognition.
There's drugs, there's alcohol, there's loose women, there's loose men, all kind of crazy. I don't think it's only celebrities gonna be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers.
She wants the system to admit that powerful people crossed serious lines, and she's risking everything to make that happen. Her lawsuit against Christian Combs stands as a bold reminder. Speaking out against influence and wealth doesn't come without consequences. This whole saga raises huge questions. Can Christian really clear his name after walking out of that courtroom? Will he ever break free from the weight of those party allegations? And if underage guests really were involved, what does that say about the privilege that allowed it all to go unchecked for so long? If you've been keeping up with every twist and turn, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video to stay in the loop. Drop your take in the comments. Was Christian's courtroom exit a sign of guilt or just someone trying to protect his name? We'll be right here, diving deep into sealed files and court records until the very end. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.